Welcome back to Baseball Sim Auctions, everybody. Today we're going to conduct a World Series based on an auction that we completed a few days ago. Now, the teams involved in that particular auction were the 1935 Cardinals. That was the first team. Now, this team finished second behind the Chicago Cubs that year. They won 96 games. They were led by great years from Ripper Collins and Hall of Famer Joe Medwick. On the pitching side of things, Dizzy Dean had one of his best years. Now, 1934 was a better year for Dean, but still 35 was excellent also. Next, we have the 1954 White Sox. They finished third in the American League that year, led by Hall of Famer Minnie Minoso's best year. Next, we have the 1962 Reds. Now, this team won 98 games, which is interesting because that would probably be enough to win a division in today's in today's game. But back then, before divisional play, that was only good for third place in the National League that year. The Reds were powered by one of the best years in the career of Hall of Famer Frank Robinson. 1966 was Robinson's other awesome year, but 62 was probably just a little bit better. Our fourth team in the sim auction that we held a few days ago was the 1970 Red Sox. That team won 87 games and also finished in third place. That team featured the best year in the career of Hall of Famer Carl Yastrzemski. Now, Yastrzemski also had a tremendous year in 1967. But 1970 was a little bit better. His OBP that year was considerably higher, and that made 1970 a slightly better year. And then lastly, our last participant in our sim auction was the 1972 Cleveland Indians. Now, this team was not a great team. They were definitely the weakest of the bunch, only winning 72 games. Now, the reason that we included this team in the auction is because this team showcased the best season in the career of Hall of Famer Gaylord Perry. That year, Perry won the first of two Cy Young Awards. He actually won his second at the age of 39 when he was playing for the San Diego Padres. But back in 72, Mr. Perry threw 342 innings that year on his way to a 1.92 ERA and an amazing 29 complete games, something that we're probably never going to see based on the evolution of today's game. So as a reminder, the World Series or simulations that we're about to do, in our version of the World Series, what we do is we simulate entire seasons. And every season counts as one game. The team that ends up winning the first 4 seasons wins the World Series. Here we go. Season 1 is on its way.
I'll tell you, I had a hard time picking a manager. I wanted a slow hook, moderate. I didn't have base stealers. We didn't have a lot of guys with saves, to pick from. And so I ended up with a manager for the 90s, and all our teams are way before then. So we'll see how it turns out.
Yep.
Let's end it right there for a second and take a look. Because I saw a couple of interesting box scores that I want to look at. So let's see. Right now, we are at Steve and Teddy with the early lead after 30 games. So obviously still very early. As you can see, everybody's still in it. So 30 games on the books. And let's just take a look at a couple of these box scores early on. So Derek, you beat Jason's team 18-2 in the second game of the season. What happened there?
That's just rude.
Well, Mr. Perry, there we go.
Minoso and Robinson had big games there.
2 homers from Minoso, yeah. Let's see. Robinson, yeah, 3 RBIs, 5 hits. And Eddie Casco drives in 5 runs. Interesting.
That's
And then,
surprising.
yeah, Dig Tidrow just didn't have it at all. A third of an inning. So that it just started bad and it got worse. Yeah.
So those batting averages are cumulative up to this game, through this game?
Correct. This is only the second game. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
You know what? Now you bring up an interesting point. I don't know if they're cumulative or they have to be cumulative because 4 for
Yeah.
5 would be way better than 278. Yeah.
They are. I don't know
Yeah.
that that's the second game. I think we're about a week and a half in, actually.
Oh, was I
Yeah.
already moving forward? Yeah, you're
Yeah.
probably right. Yeah. Let's just see what else we got here that looks interesting. Here's a 1-0 game. Steve against Anthony. Complete game shutout. Pierce.
Pierce versus Culp.
Yeah. Oh, they both pitched well.
DeRocher singled in Canigliaro.
There you go. And actually, Culp
Or
pitched
no,
the better.
sacrifice. He got a sac fly, actually. Sac fly.
Yep. And Culp pitched a better game, actually, really, than Pierce. I mean, Pierce gave up 7 hits. He gave up 2 hits.
Right.
Let's see if anything else looks interesting here. Here's another 1-0 game. Okay, that one's a combined game. I always like to look at the early box scores. 7-0 Teddy. There you go, Dizzy Dean, getting your money's worth against Perry.
Looks like Collins might have had a grand slam.
Yep. Ripper. I guess
Yep.
his real name was Jim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So everybody's in it. Still early. Let's go to the next game here so we could keep rolling. Next day. Here we go.
I'll mention my silly lineup mistake, or as I was, keeping track of who I had purchased. I mistakenly marked Buddy Bell down as a third baseman, but that year he actually played right field, so Nettles could play third base. So
Yep. Well,
So
I-
I got your third baseman then.
yeah, well,
'Cause-
yeah, I had to scramble to get enough at bats for. Yeah, that's why Eddie Casco was
Wow.
playing for me.
Yeah.
So
It's really close.
very close. You got Derek. It looks like you're fading a little bit, but everybody else is in it.
yeah,
Teddy with a slight lead over Steve. And Jason.
Well, the first auction I did, I was thinking too much, going into stuff too deep, and asking Andy a bunch of questions about what this means and what that means, and so this time I decided to try to simplify it. Well, I forgot to draft a DH until too late.
Yeah, I have
So-
my DH is under 600 OPS.
Yeah. Hey, you guys, you see how challenging it is though, because there's a lot of things to juggle. I mean, you got to keep track of your innings, you got to keep track of your at bats, you got to take a look at what your opponents are doing, how much money your opponents have left. I mean, it's if you win one of these, you did good because it's not easy. I stopped it because I got to look at this 22-0 game.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I saw that. That was I think I had another 22-run game.
There's Dean again, Teddy, another shutout.
Yeah, pretty unnecessary shutout though.
That is true.
Hey, quit picking on all my blowouts.
Wow.
Wow.
Let's see.
Everybody had at least 2 hits. Everybody's getting in there.
And everybody got at least 1 RBI. Look at this.
Yep. Yeah, and
Wow.
at least 1 run scored.
Yeah. Yikes. All right. No more blowouts that involve Jason. That's it. All right. Let's see. So, all right. Steve jumped over you, Teddy. After, let's see, 87 games, very close still between you three. Derek and Jason actually falling back a little bit, but these top three are still in play.
Yeah, so speaking of auction strategy, once I realized, hey, I need another hitter in here to be my DH, I start conserving money, and I'm waiting because I don't want to call the player's name out too early when everyone has a bunch of money.
Yeah.
It gets late in the game, and then I think Steve called him out, and he won him, Mike Andrews. But
Yes.
he had more money than me, so
Yeah.
nothing I could do.
No, and that's certainly happens a lot in fantasy baseball auctions too, where you're waiting for that guy and then he comes out, but you just don't have enough to bid.
Speaking of which, Derek, for the fantasy, is that a draft when we do it, or is that an auction? Well, I guess it has to be an auction because there's player values. There's dollar values.
It's an auction. Yep.
Yeah. What are you looking for timing?
Steve opening it up.
Weekends in March.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. 17 back.
20. Steve's got a magic number. Let's stay right here.
Uh-oh.
Magic number of 12. 9 with 9 left.
Oh, hey, look at me.
Yeah. 7.5, Derek. 5.
How'd that happen?
Done. Let's see what the final tally is. So it was pretty close there for a good chunk of the season, but Steve opened it up at the end.
At one point I was 25 and 37 or something, so I don't know how I stormed back there, but
you made a very nice run there. Let's see. Final tally is, nice job by Steve. 90 victories. Good job by you, Derek, because you're right. You were under 500 significantly and you stormed back.
Yeah.
All right. Let me log this. So Steve takes the first season.
And Steve, 30, what was it? 34 and 21 in one-run games.
That'll do it. Yeah, both Derek and Teddy were under 500 in one-run games. Steve was significantly better. Yeah. All right, let me log this, and then I want to save these stats, and we'll come back and we'll do season 2.
I agree with your assessment, though, Andy, that what did I leave, $11 on the table or something at the end there? And, I probably should have been a little bit more aggressive in the middle.
Yeah, actually, we can pull it up right now. So basically, Anthony left 8, Steve left 9, and Derek left 11.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it, really, that money should have been spent on 2 things. 1, upbidding Teddy on Dizzy Dean, and 2, upbidding Teddy on at least 1 hitter, because Teddy got by far the best hitting team, and that money that you guys together left on the table could have been used to bid up Teddy on at least 1 hitter, which would have taken 1 hitter away from his team, which is dominant in hitting.
I think my thought process there was if I upbid and not to say that I would have gotten stuck with Dizzy Dean is a bad thing, but I don't think I could have afforded it.
It would have been rough. I understand why you didn't do it. I couldn't understand why the others didn't.
Oh, they had them. Yeah, they definitely had the money at that point, right?
And Jason might not have wanted. Dean might not have been in his plans, and I get that too. Mm-hmm. But definitely, 43 for Dean was much lower than he should have gone for.
Yep.
All right. I think I got this logged. Let me go into that other module and save the stats, and we'll come back and do season 2.
Yeah, I would have loved to have Gaylord, Perry, and Dean, but I was like, wow, I'm not even going to really go for him. I'd rather just kind of get like the next tier, get a good 4 group. So my pitching was okay. I just kind of screwed up.
Your pitching was nice. Yeah. And listen, the reality is if you have a game plan in mind and all of a sudden you end up with a guy that you didn't plan for and you end up paying, $45, $50 for him, it's not easy to all of a sudden shift gears and go in a different direction. Right. I know, and Teddy knows, what I mean. I ended up winning that auction, but frankly, I got lucky because I ended up with Maddox at 52, Tom Seaver at 51. I only wanted one of those guys, not both. And when I ended up with the second, I was like, oh, shoot, what do I do now? And I had to quickly rearrange my thoughts as to what I was going to do.
Nothing wrong with getting stuck with those two guys.
No, agreed,
Right.
agreed. And but my point is
Yeah.
though, if you hadn't considered that possibility, and I really had
Right.
not, it really forced me to think quickly on what other direction I was going to go into.
Yep.
So I guess we'll see if anybody can catch Steve.
No, your team is good. You should make some noise here.
I guess Steve really avoided any really weak pitchers.
Correct. Yeah. And he's got, he doesn't have as much hitting as you, but he's not bad.
Yeah.
All right. I got all those stats saved for season 1. So let's get back in here and erase this season. Let's make sure everybody's back to 0. Yep. So season 2, here we go. All right, let's take a look and see how we're doing in the very early going here. Derek, off to a fast start. First place.
I saw my team had a 23-run win, so
Still close, but Derek is in the
Oh.
lead after 24 games.
Way too early.
Yep. Derek, you remember that season where you were leading by like 10 games with like, I don't know, 20 to go or something. And I basically said you got this, and you ended up losing what, the last 10 games of the
I
season?
lost.
And
We looked at the final standings. I had lost 10 in a row.
yeah, I ended up losing by 1. I almost caught you.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look. Derek's still in the lead, but Teddy and Jason right behind. Steve and Anthony falling behind. Let's see, after 60 games. Derek beats Steve 23-2. Wow. All right, let's take a look. Ooh, Jason jumps over Derek. 92 games in the book. Teddy is right there. And even Steve, not that far behind. Anthony's the one that's falling behind.
Yeah.
Not sure if I'll stay there, but I'll enjoy it
Yeah.
while I'm there.
You know what? Let's just stay right here because I think this could turn out to be interesting here. Let's see. Derek jumps back in the lead.
Oh boy.
3.5. Teddy 6. Steve 8.5. Let's look again. Jason back and forth. Jason jumps back into first.
oh, eight game win streak. Wow.
Yeah. 35 magic number now.
That'll do it.
You guys are going back and forth. Let's see. Jason opening it up has a magic number of 21 now. Uh-oh. Teddy making a run. 17 magic. Two and a half. Teddy, Steven, Derek are still in it. 11 magic for Jason.
I mean, even Anthony's 7.5
Yeah.
back, I think. Yeah.
Teddy jumps in the lead. Oh,
Ridiculous.
look at that at the end. Oh boy, let's see how this ended.
Is there a wild card?
But we got at least one rain out, and it's Jason. All right, let's take a look and see if the rain out would even matter. Nope, Teddy clinched.
Wow.
Nice job, Teddy. Coming from behind at the end.
Yeah,
That's fun.
that was close. The whole league was only
Yep.
spread by 10 games.
Yep, very close season.
Must have been your DH pool pull through for you.
Yeah, maybe he had like a 602 OPS in a surprising turn of events.
Wow. Yeah, but you guys look at that, very close. I mean, the winning team, when the winning team has 83 victories, you know it was pretty close. Wow. All right, good job by Teddy. So Teddy's got one in the books. So it's Steve won, Teddy won so far. Let me log this info. Um, it was what, 83, 80, and 78.
Teddy, is that your first season in the lead?
No, the first draft that I did pretty well. I was like,
Okay.
I won a few seasons. My second draft, I was terrible, but yeah, the first draft I did, I won a few seasons. I think
Yeah.
I think I actually won some of Andy's runs in that first season. That I did.
Yeah, yeah, I think
Pretty
that
close between me, Michael, and Andy in that one.
correct.
Okay.
We were. I think it was. I won 4, Michael won 3, you won 2, and Scott won 1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an epic 10 season replay.
Yeah, 83's got to be a record low for winning a season.
It's pretty close. All right, let me save these stats and we'll get into season 3.
How many of these have you guys done before, Derek and Jason?
This is just my second.
Oh, okay.
Probably about Derek's 5th though. What? I think maybe, yeah, probably his 5th.
Yeah.
All right, it looks like I have season 2 all saved. Perfect. All set. Let's get back into our other module. Here we go. Let's erase the stats for season 2. All right, here we go. Season 3 is on its way. All right, let's see how we're doing in the early going. Steve and Teddy. But look at Jason, Anthony, and Derek. Everybody in it still after 24 games.
So what causes say a wide I mean, is it just random, or Steve did really well the first season, now he's back the third season? Is it fatigue that comes in?
Unless you have an absolute dominant team, Jason, I've done so many of these. It's people have no idea the effect of randomness in the game of baseball, not just in these sim games, but there's just a lot of randomness in baseball, and you can see it if you look at the baseball reference standings. If you take a look at the column where it says Pythagorean winning percentage, which is really, it takes run differential into calculation, it'll show you the teams that either get lucky or underperform based on what they would have expected to do based on their runs allowed and runs scored. I mean, there is a lot of randomness and luck in baseball.
Yeah, and that doesn't even include the luck of like players overperforming or underperforming.
Correct. Teddy opening it up a little bit over Steve, but it's only 73 games into the season. Anthony, 8.5 back. Jason and Derek falling behind.
I'm just biding my time, waiting for that comeback.
There you go.
I'm going to go on a big run here.
So Teddy, have you done a lot of other kind of simulations, board game versions, or?
My dad played APBA and Stratomatic as a kid, and I've played dice baseball with him my entire childhood. I spent tons of time playing dice baseball with my dad. So we played a little bit of Stratomatic. We actually played a game called When the Grass Was Real a lot, which is a pretty obscure one that he found online, but it's kind of the same general sort of idea, except that the players are actually fake, but they have like ratings and stuff. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Cool.
And then I play a game called, it used to be called CSFBL, and now it's called Base Hit. And Michael and I both are on that website. And Michael introduced me to this game because we're in lots of leagues on that site. And that one is one where you're really managing your team's day to day a little bit more in that. But
All right, right.
Teddy, it looks like you got season 3,
well,
magic
never
number.
know.
Yeah.
I can pull the 10-game losing streak now.
I think you got this one. Yeah, magic of 5. Steve's 8.5 out, so I think you got this one. Yeah, I took a look at Base Hit the other day at that website. It does look very interesting.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned it to you and Michael. It seems very similar to a game that I've played. Well, I played a lot in the past, but not recently. What If Sports.
Okay, I've heard of it. Yeah.
It's very good. It's a very good sim. The only problem is, each season is $12.95, and they simulate a season in a matter of like a month and a half, so it can add up. All right, let's see what the final tally is here. All right, good job, Teddy. You are now in the lead, 2 seasons to 1 over Steve. Let me log this info down.
I looked into the what if sports, and when you're playing against people competitively online, I mean, they'll know how they how the formulas work, and they'll take some obscure guy from the 20s or whatever because of whatever stat he has that they can maximize. And I was like, I don't know, I don't want to get into all that stuff.
No, actually, what they do there, Jason, is they normalize the stats. So in that game, they do normalize the stats. So for example, Rockies, Todd Helton, his stats would be normalized across all of baseball history. So he wouldn't have the same stats as he actually did in real life. And the guys in the dead ball year will probably have better hitting stats than they actually did in real life. But they show you all that, so it's very transparent. You don't have to guess at what the guys would do. They show you what they would do.
Huh. Okay.
I don't recall where I read this, but there was something just if you put Ted Williams at Yankee Stadium and you put Joe DiMaggio at Fenway Park, how much different they would have, over the course of their career. How many home runs the dimensions at Yankee Stadium cost DiMaggio, X number of home runs or something.
You couldn't do that what if with APBA, but I know that there's games that you could do it with, that have realistic park factors. Action PC, that might actually be one of them.
Problem is, like you said, just not enough time.
You said it.
You do set your stadiums in Base Hit, so everybody's trying to like create the perfect stadium to match their players. I mean, some leagues require you to not change your stadium, but in some leagues you can change them every season to match your team. So
yeah, and what if you could do the same thing? And the park factors are significant. I mean, they really can sway the numbers.
Yeah.
All right, season 3. Let me save this, and we'll go to season 4.
Hey, Derek, the guy who's speaking next month to the committee, the book about like his history of simulation games. The book just came out in January. Have you read it yet? Have you looked through it?
I haven't seen it yet. No.
I ordered it. I've skimmed through it. It's not bad. The only problem is that about 90%, well, let's say 80% of the book is a lot of just, numbers, like stats and stats and stats. I would have wanted to see just a little bit more narrative.
Yeah.
But it's not bad. It's a good book from what I was able to gather. And then the game that he, because he developed his own game apparently, and I just saw a YouTube video the other day. I think he's actually marketing the game now.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I kind of skimmed. He didn't do APBA, right? He didn't do Strat
No,
either.
no, he
Yeah.
didn't. He didn't do any of the mainstream games. No, he did Sports Illustrated and some other ones that I had never heard of.
Hmm.
And then eventually it led to him creating his own game.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just on the card and dice side alone now, there's just so many different options out there,
Yes, there
and
really are.
it's, everybody has their favorite or whatever, but
Yeah.
I don't know if there's, the problem is you go to different sites and everybody's going to point to their favorite game. So how do you really determine which one is really, and do you want accuracy? Do you want it to be fast? There's all sorts of things with that too.
Exactly. Yeah, that playability factor is important. All right, I think I have season 3 safe. Let's double check. Looks good. Let's get back into this next season. Let's wipe out the stats for 3. And here we go. Teddy is going to try to take a commanding 3 seasons to 1 lead over Steve. Here we go. Season 4 underway.
Well, nothing against Teddy or Steve, but I'd like to see Jason or myself, or I know, or Anthony even, just kind of sneak one in here and make it interesting.
Hey, the more competitive, the better. Yeah.
The average wins are pretty close. I mean, it's
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Hopefully we can. That'd be nice.
I'm pretty close to 500. Oh no, I'm under 500. Okay.
Look at this. Very close early on. Derek in the lead after 28.
Yeah, but basically playing 500 ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very close. Let's take another look. Derek holding on, but very, very close after 44 games.
I know when I drafted Sparky Lyle, he didn't have the greatest numbers. Obviously, wasn't anywhere near his best year, but I think he had the most relief appearances of anybody, and I was just hoping that, that would help with the run, 1-run games, but it doesn't seem to be helping me.
Yeah. I think he would have been a good like middle reliever guy, but for you to count on him to to save the 1-run victories, I don't think his grade was high enough.
There really weren't many
No,
good relievers, period.
no, there really weren't.
So yeah.
All right, let's take a look. Where are we here? Anthony sneaks into first over Derek, but it's only a 1-game lead. Teddy's still within striking distance, and so is Jason. Steve's the only one that might be out of it in this one.
Wow, this is very, very different.
Very close. All right, let's take another look. Derek. Teddy now only a game out, though. Anthony 4, Jason 8.5. You know what? We're over 100 games here. Let's just stay right here with the standings. Derek and Teddy flat-footed tie.
Wow.
Jason only 5.5 out.
Coming back.
Teddy jumps in the lead. Derek is still right there, though. 24 magic. 16 Magic. Derek, 3 out.
Not coming back.
10 Magic. Derek, you're right there. You need to cut into it.
Can I root for Derek?
Oh,
Sorry,
Still
Teddy.
3 out. It makes
it
sense.
just it didn't budge. I think
Oh,
that's
wow.
it.
That is close.
Let's take a look. All right, the final tally.
Teddy is strong at the end of the season.
Wow,
He's got
nice.
some workhorses.
Yeah, he is. Teddy doesn't fade at the end.
No.
All right. Let's see what the final tally is. Good season
Jason
there.
went 4-13 in extra inning games. That's very bad, and also just a lot of extra inning games.
Yeah, that is. Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
that is not
Yeah.
gonna help your cause. Yeah. You know what's interesting, Teddy, though? You won 12 and 20 in 1-run games, but it didn't matter. You still won. Because a lot of times that's a death knell right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right, let's lock this. So Steve takes the first season, but Teddy comes roaring back and takes the next 3.
The average wins are really close, though.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. 85 for you, 81 for Steve. Yeah, 78, 74, 72. Definitely very close for everybody. All right, Teddy, one more and you are a champion. Let's save these stats. Let's save season 4.
Have you seen teams that consistently fade at the end?
I do think the bullpen impacts how well a team performs at the end. And
Okay.
even in this auction that didn't have a lot of pure relievers, you still want to have somebody to close out some of these close games. The
That
other
one,
thing,
that
the
one
other
year
thing-
when we had the 2018 Orioles that season,
yes,
and I got stuck. I guess my guys were fatigued, and I got stuck with a Michael Givens start. He went
Right.
like 9 innings and gave up 20 runs just because
Exactly.
I ran out of innings.
that's
Oh,
the other
man.
factor. Yeah, if your pitching staff is not super strong, you could end up with fatigue, which will cause the micromanager to just leave a guy in there to get toasted. Yeah. All right, here we go. Let's erase the season 4 stats.
Man. Gaylord Perry's beat Dizzy Dean on that opening day almost every season.
All right, very, very early, but let's take a look at how things are shaping up. Teddy, I think Teddy is smelling it. But very,
Pretty
very
close,
close.
pretty close.
Yeah, yeah, 31 games in. Take another look. Still very close. Derek is saying no, not so fast. And Steve is still within range too.
I did see I beat Teddy 19-8 in one game.
Maybe that was a message sender.
Yeah. Does APBA give an option to play with like ejections?
If you're yeah, it does. If you're playing with there's a setting called game injuries and fatigue that incorporates also getting guys thrown out of the game.
Okay.
Yeah. Still holding on. I mean, it's still very close, but again, Teddy has not shown a propensity to fade. Opening it up. Yeah. It's playing out. Teddy's team is playing out the way he has the last couple of seasons. He just
This year
You know-
I'm actually kind of lucky this year in the 1 run and extra inning ones.
yeah. Let's just keep it right here. Magic number of 25. Magic number of 18. Magic number of 7. So it's just a matter of who ends up in the second. Clinched. Good job, Teddy.
All right.
Congrats.
Thank
Four
you.
Good job, man.
seasons. Yeah,
Yeah,
4 seasons to
definitely.
1.
Yeah,
Let's see what the
pretty
final.
dominant there. Good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, I'm glad to get the win when Andy wasn't in it. It was really the only chance. So,
Hey, now that you won, I'm gonna have to invite you to another one where I'm in it. So
yeah.
'cause now you're a champion. Let's see what the final tally is. Good job, 93 victories. And really not close at all. Good job. Let me
I was going to
save
say
this info.
convincingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a good year, but the luck was also on my side there with the one run games.
Yeah, you and even the extra inning too. So combined extra
Yeah.
inning and 1 run, you were 32 and 16. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
All right, so season 5 is all yours. Let's see, Steve was at 78. It's 77, 74, and 68.
So Andy, I was thinking if I had done this with micro league baseball back in the day, this would probably be dragging on well into the 27 season probably.
Oh, with micro league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
30 minutes a game, no quick play.
Yeah.
Those, manual schedules.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been as swift as this. All right, let me what I want to do is share, well, let me save this season and then I want to share the stats, the visibility to the stats for this last deciding season. So let me get out of this module. Bring up the other one.
So Teddy, what was your manager's characteristics?
I had Johnny McCoy. I think it was the same one as you, right?
No, the same as Derek.
Oh, the same as Derek. Okay.
Yeah.
My manager was actually pretty nondescript. Let's see. So he was listed as 1940 to 1979, and he was going by save totals, which was one. I mean, it worked for me because my best 2 relievers had the highest save totals. He had a slow pull on starters, which I guess I didn't really have that many excess innings, so it probably didn't matter that much. I think all my innings were probably going to pretty much be used one way or the other. I was kind of just looking for average steal and hit and run strategies, and he was doing that. So I figured he'd be fine. I really don't know what I'm doing with the manager stuff, but just so.
Well, it worked.
Yeah.
I think I found with a couple of the early ones I did, I think I used Billy Martin a couple times, and it was, almost like he was too aggressive at times, and way too many complete games, that kind of thing. So I think Johnny McCoy's kind of a good middle of the road manager.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, he's some of the same tendencies as Buck Miller too, except I think Buck Miller too picks his relievers based on grade, not saves. All right, let me share this other screen here with the stats.
Yeah, I probably could have done Buck Miller too. I think for me, the highest saves guys were the highest grade guys, so it probably would have made a big difference anyway.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Let me sort. This first one shows you the pitchers. Let me sort it by innings.
Gaylord Perry, quite a season.
Yeah, you definitely got your money's worth for Perry. I mean, he was not the reason why the team didn't win. I mean, he he produced. 170 ERA, 27
Yep.
and 10.
And Paul Dean.
Paul Dean was almost as good as Dizzy Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't complain with a 192 ERA though, Teddy. And a 24 and 6, 192 ERA.
Yeah, I think he had a over 3 ERA in reality, but his grade was a lot higher than what I would have expected based on that. So I assume that was just a really good hitting year, and so it was.
That's exactly what it was. It was the grade was basically normalized to the year. So
Yeah.
even though his ERA was at 3, his grade was just one notch under Perry, who in real life had a 192 ERA. Yeah.
Which is interesting because I guess that means that pitching ratings are normalized, but hitting ratings are not.
Exactly. It's very interesting that they normalize the pitching grades to the season, not to all of baseball history. But
Yeah.
they don't touch the hitting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the back end of my rotation killed me, right? Ken Reynolds, 6 and 17,
Yep.
5.49 ERA.
Yeah.
And down near the bottom there, Tony Freitas,
Freitas?
3 and
Yeah.
10, 16 starts.
That's it right there. Those
I got
those
away.
two.
I got away with Romo pitching 105 innings with an 80 ERA.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Well, the rest
Wow.
of it, the rest of it was good for you. And
Yeah.
this guy right here, I thought, obviously we knew about Dean, but Jay also, you got at a pretty decent price too. And look at the numbers he put up. He was your number 2.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, but you definitely I mean when you bought Dean for 43, I said to myself, ooh, that could be the difference maker right there. And then that coupled with the hitting that you were able to put together, that's what did it for you.
Yeah.
All right, so that covers the pitching. Let's take a look at the percentage qualitative hitting. This is by OPS. No surprise at the top, really. Well, you can't really look at Barton. Let's look at the plate appearances. So Frank Robinson got your money's worth there too. That might actually
Yeah.
be like just a point or two off his real life OPS. Jastrzemski, a little, probably not his best season, but still very nice.
Yeah. He
Neglect.
was 1044 in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now keep in mind, this is only the stats for this last season that we've just finished. It's not the compilation of all 5 seasons, which you'll get on the Excel summary that I'll send you.
Yeah.
Mignoso, no surprise there. Thomas, actually not a surprise because those were good at bats that he had. Ripper Collins, I think his real life was over 900, but so still not too bad. All right. I'm just looking for a bad oddity here. Let's see.
Canigliaro, is that a bad?
Yeah, that's not great. Yeah, 739. Petrocelli looks low too. I think he was over 800. Cascarell is a little low too for you. All right. Let's take a look at some quantitative hitting. Let's see who led in homers. Robinson with 38, so a little less than real life, I think. Actually, Canigliaro hit it right on the nose. I think he had 36 that year.
Yeah, he did.
Robinson at
Yeah.
39.
Okay, so missed it by 1. Not a lot of speedsters in this auction, but look at the percentage for Veda Pinson. That's pretty good, 25 and 3.
Looking at Mike Andrews there, 27. Right? I don't think he paid much for him. Steve, Mike Andrews, 5th one from the top.
Oh yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, that's 10 more homers than Andrews really had.
Yeah,
And he only paid $10 for him.
nice. All right, so no George Sisler type numbers, but still some very nice numbers. 56 doubles for Robinson. Mignoso, actually interesting. Look at these stat lines: 18 doubles, 20 triples, 21 homers.
Wow.
And right behind him, Collins, 27, 20, and 19.
Yeah, my problem was filling out the 4 through 9 in the lineup, though. You know, I
Exactly.
had Mignoso. I think I had Chambliss hit 323 for me this season, which I think was because I only
Little-
had him in against righties.
Yeah.
And Robinson hit third, and then after that it was a scramble.
Yeah.
Collins it's weird seeing a guy have 20 triples without a single stolen base attempt.
I know. Interesting. I wonder how much that could have been a par factor thing. Interesting.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it looks like Collins led the league in our RBIs. Yeah, 130, 132. Good stuff. I love looking at the numbers. Obviously, when I send you the compilation, you'll be able to see it season by season, and then the compiled average. And the other instructive thing is the next page, which is the team summaries. So let's see. Teddy had a 759 OPS, which you don't see here, but you'll see on the spreadsheet. So definitely the best hitting. And then Teddy, you didn't have the best pitching, but you had the second best. When you put that together with the best hitting, you're gonna get what you get. You're gonna win. Good job. I want to take a quick look at the teams because we didn't get a chance to do that at the beginning.
So I just noticed Teddy had 86 complete games.
Yeah, and Jason at 87.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
What about fielding?
Some guys were using closers way more. Steve and Anthony had way more saves.
So do you think, Andy, that my guys ended up getting fatigued? I mean, because I had, I was going for the complete games. You know, I wanted a lot of complete games with 4 starters, but did that wear them out maybe, or?
I don't think so, Jason, because I'm just confirming. The spreadsheet is on the screen now. You guys can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you had enough innings.
I cannot see the spreadsheet.
No? Okay, hold on.
Right now I'm seeing the summary page.
Okay.
Is that what you mean or no? Oh.
No, the actual spreadsheet from the auction. Hold on.
Yeah,
Let
okay.
me bring that up.
Because 406 ERA with, 4 guys that were pretty decent, which is really the main guys I wanted to pitch. So Perky, Keegan, Tidrow, Siebert,
You had plenty of starting innings. I think where you could have gotten hurt is, when the game got to your bullpen.
I didn't have one.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what hurt you, because keep in mind that the guys that you had in your bullpen, they all had W, which is going to knock down their grade probably by 1 to 1.5.
Okay.
And then 2 of them had L's, which will impact them a little bit as well. Because remember, L signifies that he gave up more than an average number of home runs.
So let's say if I would have put Steve Dunning in and I made it a 5-man rotation, would that have changed anything?
I don't think so. So your rotation was 4, right? It was Perky, Keegan, Tidrow, and Siebert.
All right.
No, I think that was fine, and I think more than likely either Dunning or Wilcox would have gotten used as a supplementary starter, and then these guys probably would have gotten used a little bit in relief as well. But even there, again, you're looking at, for example, Dunning. He's a 10 with an M. An M means he gives up a lot of home runs. So L means a little bit above average. M means a lot above average.
Okay.
So that 10 probably gets knocked down to a 9 or an 8.5.
So I gave
Um,
up a lot of home runs to Yastrzemski and Ripper.
Yeah, the issue wasn't your starters. The issue
Yeah.
was really your bullpen. Yeah,
Good to know.
yeah.
Well, I also
Um,
noticed you have a lot of guys from the 1972 Indians in your pitching staff.
Yeah.
And I think that was a better than average pitching season. So those guys might be getting normalized down a little bit.
Wow.
No, not really, Teddy. The grade you see is pretty much the normalized. I mean, in other words, the game isn't going to.
Yeah, I know the grade you see is what they actually are, but I mean like like for example, Dizzy Dean was over 3 ERA with a 19 grade, but like
Right.
Dick Tidrow on that Indian teams is well under a 3 ERA with a 13
And he's
grade.
got it exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, let's continue a little bit with Jason's team since we didn't get a chance to do this early on. So I mean, your starters were excellent. It was just really your relief that I think hurt you. And then hitting wise, remember your team I think had the weakest hitting in terms of OPS. So that's another factor that led to
Yeah,
a negative impact on your team.
I was kind of hoping the starters would, play a long time, and the bench was terrible,
Yeah.
and I really only had like 7 out of 9 were okay. So yeah, I mean, the hitting was definitely weak.
I mean, you were balanced in terms of the money you spent. You spent 135 on pitching and 125 on hitting. So it's not like you were disbalanced. It's just that maybe some of this money spent on Dunning and Wilcox, maybe you could have combined that and spent it on a better pitcher, period.
Okay, cool.
Let's take a look at let's go backwards here. So Teddy, obviously we already know. I already mentioned this was a killer right here, $43 for Dean. And it overcame well, actually here's a good example, Jason. So when you look at Teddy's relief core, when you look at it initially, it doesn't look to be that much better than yours, but he had an 11Z. So Z helps that grade a little bit. And then he had an 11G. G helps the 11 grade a little bit. So where you had a grade with a W or a grade with an L, he has a grade with a G or with a Z. So that actually helps the grade. In your case, the letters hurt the grade.
Okay.
It's a bit of a learning experience. If you're not happy with how you did this draft, I did much, much, much worse last time. So I think I had like 60 something wins per season. I don't know, but it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So did you you said you did better on your first one compared to your second one. So did you do a lot of changes between 2 and 3?
I didn't know anything about I wasn't thinking about the W's and Z's at all. And then I guess I also paid more attention in advance of the draft to thinking about like positional depth. So I was like looking at like what positions are kind of limited on players. And so I think like Chico Carrasco, even though his OPS wasn't that great, he was pretty good compared to what was available at shortstop. Right. So I liked him, and I liked Nelly Fox because I think second base was kind of limited as well. So I think I was like paying more attention to that as well.
Exactly. And that's definitely a factor you want to keep in mind. And then you can always look at another factor that I think is good in those two names you mentioned. The position was scarce, and you also got the top rated defenders as well, a 9 and a 9, which doesn't hurt.
I mean, overall, this was a very pitcher heavy auction compared to hitters, and I was surprised at how good a pitcher you guys ended up with later in the draft for very little money, because it's so deep, and then the hitting just went out the window.
Yeah, the hitting was brutal. I mean, even my team where I was kind of trying to go for max hitting, I have a sub 600 OPS DH. So I mean, there's just not that much hitting.
But Teddy did spend the most on hitting. He spent 169 on hitting compared to 91 in pitching. So in other words, the money he spent in hitting did bring back the best hitting team. So it wasn't like he didn't spend badly, because that money translated into this number, which is good. But here's what I said about the money that was left unspent. So for example, we're talking $28 left unspent. So, for example, you go back to Teddy's team, that $28 could have been spent to bid up Fox, to bid up Carrascal, to bid up Delancey, for example, who's a good, solid hitting catcher. Maybe even to make them spend a few more dollars on Ripper Collins. I don't think you could have gone too much higher on Jastrzemski necessarily, but you could have pushed him a little bit more on Collins. So if you take Fox out of the equation here, or Scott or Cascarell, it changes the complexion of Teddy's team significantly, because besides Dean, his pitching was not overwhelming. Now you take a hitter like Fox or Cascarell or Scott out of this lineup, and this sim could have been different. So
yeah, I was thinking I could have used Scott at third base.
yeah, exactly. So so I think the combination of the profit he made on Dean and the fact that he really wasn't pushed on any of the hitters, because 51 on Jastrzemski is not an overpay. So the fact that he wasn't really pushed on any of these hitters, he ends up with the best hitting team. He makes a huge profit on Dean, and the rest is history. Yeah.
What's the
Derek,
most you ever paid for anyone, Andy?
Say that again.
What's the most you ever paid for anyone?
52 from Addicts was the most I ever paid for him.
Oh, but there's definitely been higher from other
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the record for pitchers is 73 for the 1910 version of Jack Coombs, $73. So it really depends on the population of players that you have to, available to bid on.
Well, like you said, with like Yaz went for 51, right?
Yep.
And he was the third guy off the board, but I had already spent 62 on Perry and 49 on Robinson, so I couldn't bid him up in it.
No.
Not, again, if I had gotten Yaz at that point, I mean, I could have taken a 4-hour nap.
Absolutely. No, you were not in a position to price enforce.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love your top two. And definitely
the problem is the bottom 20.
yeah. The rest of it is definitely weak.
A lot of filler.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do a draft with the 1885 Giants when Tim Keefe pitched the 1886 Giants. He pitched 535 innings. I wonder what he would go for.
Well, APBA doesn't offer that season, but
Okay.
but I do have everything going back to 1901, and I just happened to look the other day at Ed Walsh's year when he won 40 games, pitched over 400 innings, and APBA gave him a grade of 30 that year. So I'm hoping that at some point in one of the future sim auctions, the 19, I forget what year it was, 19 something White Sox. But yeah, Walsh won 40 and 16, I think, that year. He's a grade 30 with like 400 and some odd innings. So
does the win total factor into their grade?
APBA unfortunately does. Obviously they shouldn't, because wins are a matter, to a great degree, a matter of luck. But APBA does factor wins into their grade equation. Yeah. All right, so that is Derek's team. Nothing wrong with Paul Dean at 33. It's just that some of the other supplementary guys weren't able to carry their load. Steve had a pretty decent hitting team at almost 750 OPS. He did a nice job with these top three guys. I also liked his purchase of Andrews at 10 later in the auction when he was like the best hitter left. And then Steve did a pretty decent job with his pitching too. I mean, Steve had a nice team. And I think if you take one hitter off of Teddy's team, I think Steve would have made it really, really interesting. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but keep in mind, take a look at the World Series. You're talking 86 average wins to 81. If you take a hitter out of Teddy's team and put him on Steve's team, it would have been interesting. So, but then you have to go back to that money that wasn't spent. And that's one of the toughest things to do in an auction. Get that money spent just right so that you're left with zero. Yeah. All right. Let's see if I can bring you guys back up here. Stop the share. So guys, a big thank you. Good job. I know obviously the ultimate goal is to win, but I still hope you had some fun. Teddy, congrats. Nice job.
Thank you.
And Teddy, I think you said maybe your dad might want to do one of these in the future.
Yeah, he happened to be working during the day that this one happened, but yeah, he definitely wants to.
That would be cool to have you to have a father and son. Derek actually had his son at one point in the past do one with us.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
He will be proud of you.
I don't have any more scheduled right now. I think what I wanted to do is because I know a lot of folks play fantasy baseball. I know I do. Jason, it sounds like you do as well. Teddy, what about you? Do you play fantasy sports?
I have in the past. I actually don't really have any plans to this year, but we'll see. Yeah, maybe.
Okay. All right. But it's this particular batch of sim auctions, I put together because Derek was gracious enough to give me the platform on the Games and Simulations Committee and on the Facebook page. So I think these 6 I kind of targeted, to that group. But I'm glad that you guys have been exposed to it now, and then probably, late when the fantasy baseball stuff is over, I'll probably start to schedule a few more now that I have, a good group that seems to be interested in it. So Jason, don't be surprised if you get an email from me in a month or so, in case you want to take another stab at it.
Sounds good. Hopefully I'll be wiser the next time.
Teddy, you as well, and Derek, obviously, thank you for giving me the platform and promoting sim auctions. I appreciate it.
Sure. I wish I did better at this, but it's a learning experience, right?
You keep plugging away at it.
Yeah.
And you've had a couple of I mean the one that you did with me, you I think you won one season, right? Or 2, if I remember correctly.
I think I had 2 wins the last
2,
time
yeah.
out. So
Yeah.
we're we're trending in the right direction.
Absolutely.
How many people have actually beaten you, Andy, in a season?
Scott has beaten me, and Steve has beaten me a couple of times.
Okay.
Now the qualifier with Steve is that now Steve did a great job, but a couple of the seasons that he won, we actually added an extra real team. In other words, we had like 4 sim teams, but 5 real teams. So what that does is it creates a surplus of hitters and pitchers. And in a couple of cases, it allowed Steve to heavily go after pitching because he knew that there would still be a lot of hitters left over that he could pick up at the end and still be good enough, to provide enough hitting support. But
Yeah.
still, Steve has beaten me a couple of times, and Scott has beaten me a couple of times as well. So maybe you guys are next. There you go.
Half the fun is figuring out what works and what doesn't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, well, thank you guys. I got meetings the rest of this week, but I'm going to try to, if I get back to the hotel early tomorrow, I'll start working on that Excel spreadsheet and send that compilation to everybody.